Okay, so thanks everybody for coming to talk about balks and legal pitching positions tonight. As Rick said, there was a request to have some of these things covered, and I think he got the request from more than a few folks. So I know these are some things that can be confusing to people, particularly the legal pitching positions. It's something that has been a point of emphasis now for the last couple of years. And it's something that's changed a few times over the last few years with the hybrid position and what constituted the windup and what constituted the set, and the focus on feet versus body position and all of those things. So I can totally understand why there's some ongoing confusion about that. Hope to be able to set some of that at ease tonight. For those of you who made the interpretation session that we already had, we talked about the legal pitching positions a little bit because that's certainly a point of emphasis again this year. For those of you who weren't able to make the interpretation, we're having the next one on March 22nd. We'll talk about it again there, but a little spoiler, we'll talk about it tonight. It'll be very similar to what gets talked about at the interpretation. So without further ado, I want to start with the legal pitching positions piece, because some of the penalties we talk about will get into Balks later. So this is the only slide that I have on legal pitching positions, because what I want you to take away from this is it's this simple. It's really just about the pitcher's feet. If the pitcher's feet, the pivot foot, is in contact with or directly in front of and parallel to the pitcher's plate, the pitcher's in the set. If it's not, they're in the windup. That's it. That's all we have for legal pitching positions. It doesn't matter which way the shoulders are facing. It doesn't matter which way the torso is facing. It doesn't matter which way the non-pivot foot is facing. None of that matters. If the pivot foot is in contact with or in front of the pitcher's plate and parallel to it, they're in the set. Any other time when it's not parallel, they're in the windup. Don't overcomplicate it. That's it. Only have those two legal pitching positions. So when somebody says they're pitching in the hybrid, cool, you can set your feet in the hybrid, no problem. But the hybrid by definition is a windup position because the foot in that position is not parallel to the pitcher's plate. So you can't put your feet in the hybrid position and then act like you're pitching from the set. That would not be legal. Any questions about this? It really is that straightforward now. So some of the stuff we had to worry about past years, not a concern anymore. If you have a question, make sure you come off mute.
I don't have a question, but last year I had a hard time. There was a kid for Fall Mountain, was a senior. He's done now, but I talked with his coach quite a bit about it. And I mean, I told him it's illegal and I knew it. Um, and I think he corrected it as we get to the playoffs, but he started with hit in the windup with that pivot foot parallel to the plate and his other foot straight ahead. So he's a righty. So what would it be? Right foot was parallel to with the rubber, and his non-pivot foot was straight to the plate. That's how he just was already dropped in, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so from that position could pitch out of the set, but the issue is when they stack their feet the way that you're describing, and then with the non-pivot foot take that step backwards as though they're going out of the windup. We can't allow that, whether there are runners on base or not. That is not a legal pitching position.
Yeah, and that was my point of emphasis too. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Yeah,
So,
great point, Nick. Yeah,
Phil,
go
if
ahead,
they
Rick.
set up in the windup position there and there's runners on base, um, and they go to pick off, they have to disengage first, correct?
From the windup, you would have to disengage because
Right,
in the windup in Federation, you cannot pick off from the windup.
right. Okay.
Have to disengage. Only thing they can do from the windup is step off or throw a pitch.
Okay.
And so to change their feet to the position of the set, right? If there were runners on base and they accidentally got in the windup and wanted to change, they'd still have to step off first.
Okay.
In that position where they do the set, like the gentleman was just saying, where they had the parallel foot and then one moving forward. If they do the set mechanics right, then it does become a legal pitch, correct?
Yes, if they set their feet as though they're pitching out of the set and they do the mechanics of the set, life is good.
Which, right, which means then that if he comes set, stops, and then takes that step back like a windup, they can still do that as long as they continue forward.
When you say step backwards, what do you mean?
Well, if he has that left foot pointing forward and he comes to the set position and then he steps, takes the left foot and steps behind and continues to come forward, as long as he had that stop and set first or that pause, he can still take that step back and move forward. He just can't do anything else.
Not correct. He cannot
No?
move that. He can't move that non-pivot foot toward first base or toward another base in that situation. His motion has to be to home at that point.
Yeah, I was a pitcher. You can't take a rocker step from the stretch now.
Right.
I think that's one of those things that was we were going through last year. Obviously, I'm coming from Pennsylvania, but that was something that they said last year and pointed out that even if they stop and come to that set and that pause, they can still do that as long as they go home, but they couldn't, go and turn to any base because that would still be considering the motion home.
The motion home is pick up your foot, step home, and throw, right? It's not pick up your foot, take another step, pick up your foot again, step toward home. That's the problem.
I'm just that's why I'm clarifying it, from my end. So
yeah, I hope that helps. It's a great point, and I want to drive that home because you're going to see that with no runners on base, that they're going to go out of look like they're going out of the set and pitch out of the windup, and that's what we want to try to catch during warm-up pitches before the game starts, so we can fix it while they're taking the warm-up pitches rather than wait till pitch one and start with an illegal pitch, and now all hell breaks loose.
Hey, Phil, in the wind-up position, I had this just taking some pitches in the cage a couple of weeks ago. So for the sake of this on the wind-up, if that non-pivot foot is lined up, let's say, between the words play pick, is that still legal?
Yes, non-pivot foot can be anywhere.
Okay, that's what I wasn't sure because it just looked awkward the way the kid was setting up the pitch, and I wasn't sure. Like I said, that's how far over the foot was in that direction when I saw it.
Yeah, the more baseball you watch, Brian, the more screwed up stuff you're going to see. It's incredible the nonsense that these kids are doing these days.
Okay.
Now that's obvious. The full sideways like David Price used to do. That's illegal.
Full
starting sideways from the windup, full sideways. Like from
well, again, it doesn't matter how the body's positioned. It would be the feet. If the foot is parallel, if he's full sideways and foot's parallel, then that means he's not going out of the windup because of his feet, right?
I remember when Price was with the Red Sox, he started going full sideways to simplify his mechanics, and they allowed it in pro rules, but yeah.
They allow a lot of stuff in MLB, and if someday when the NIL gets down to the high school level and kids in high school are making millions, then we'll probably allow stuff too. Till then, this is what we're doing. Other questions about legal pitching positions?
So with no runners on, if he's in the set, are we worried about a stop or are we going to let him blow through? Are we worried about a stop, a discernible stop?
By rule, should still stop. In practice, I would ignore that.
Okay.
And Phil, when do you call that if he made that step backwards, the illegal step? Are you killing that ball like a balk immediately, or can he pitch? And if he does pitch, what happens if it gets hit?
Yeah, illegal pitch, just like balk in Federation, they're dead. Different than other rule sets, but in Federation, we kill it.
Phil, could you expand on what you just said? What would you ignore?
So with no runners on base, pitcher's going out of the set position and doesn't come to a complete discernible stop during their motion.
Okay.
I'd ignore that.
Thank you.
Phil, what about in the wind-up position and he moves the pivot foot parallel as he steps back?
That's okay. It's how his feet start. after he
That's how
starts
it's being
the
started.
motion and then changes, yeah, that's pretty natural, right? So they would
Yeah.
start in the play pick on the right. What Kevin's describing here is the play pick on the right. They start in a legal windup position and then move their non-pivot foot to start the windup, and then make a small adjustment with their pivot foot, and it ends up parallel to the pitcher's plate. Entirely legal.
That's fine. Okay, good.
Hey,
So,
in that wind up scenario that we're showing right now, as soon as he takes his non-pivot foot and starts his mechanic, he's got to continue. He can't stop halfway for a pause and then
Correct.
continue because that seems to be something that's happening more and more where some of the pitchers are actually starting to delay partway through that windup.
From the windup, it has to be what is ruled an uninterrupted motion. And so that does mean no stop. So if they stop with no runners on base, if you can grab it then, that's great. It's an illegal pitch. If there are runners on base, that's a balk.
So, a couple things. So if you don't require him to from the set position, just say he's using the set, and you don't get him to pause, and he pauses once in a while, isn't that a quick pitch? If he alters the delivery from pitch to pitch, if he pauses sometimes and doesn't on others. And then the other question I had was on the NHFS handout at the meeting, the foot positioning is completely different in their guidance than what we see tonight.
Sure. So taking them in order, the first one about stopping and quick pitching. I think we misterm quick pitch quite often, Tom, and we think of a quick pitch as they change their motion, and sometimes the cadence is different. So sometimes there's a short step, maybe a slide step. Sometimes they pick the leg up high. Those are not quick pitches. A quick pitch, by definition, is a pitch that intends to catch the batter off guard. So the batter is not eyes up to the pitcher, or the batter is just stepping back into the batter's box. They're not what we term alert to hit, right? They're not alert to the pitcher. They're not in a hitting position, right? They may still be taking a practice swing and the pitcher starts their motion. That's the definition of a quick pitch. That's what's illegal and would either be an illegal pitch or a balk. Changing it up so that you take a shorter delivery and more rapidly deliver the ball with the batter alert to you, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a little bit of gamesmanship, and there's nothing wrong with that by rule.
Can I jump in for a second, Phil?
Have at it, Rick.
The one thing that qualifies to make sure happens in that, which was what we're calling a quick pick situation when they're in the set, their hands need to come together. Okay. If their hands don't come together, yes, that's a quick pitch because he hasn't completed the set position in his motion. But if his hands come together, he can go quicker, slower, whatever. The key is his hands need to come together.
Yeah, and he still has to stop. Like he still has to meet all the requirements of the set of pitching from the set position. 100%. Yeah.
But with nobody on and the set, like Phil mentioned, ignore the non-stop, but make sure you don't ignore that his hands are coming together. That's all.
And the second piece, Tom, not sure about the play pick. I don't have last year or this year's handout in front of me, but is there's something concerning about the way the feet are in that one versus this?
They have them side by each on the rubber, no offset.
Yeah, and that doesn't matter, right? So from the windup, I'm just showing another alternative. You can have your feet stacked however you want, and it's going to be the windup. So it doesn't have to be staggered like this. It could be feet side by side. It could be the non-pivot foot behind the rubber. All of those things would be fine. The key here is really just the pivot foot, and that the pivot foot is or is not parallel. We used to have, for those of you who go back a few years, we used to have the thing about the front edge of the pitching rubber and the non-pivot foot couldn't be in front of that. And none of those are things anymore. So, we drilled all of that into you and said, look for these things. And now we're saying, forget about it. Don't worry about those things anymore. Worry only about the pivot foot. Is it parallel or is it not parallel? That defines the pitching position. Really have simplified this a lot. versus those of you who were playing the home game 5, 6 years ago.
It really does simplify it, Phil.
100%. Alex, you have a question. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. I just wanted to ask you to clarify something for me. I have been doing a lot of use, obviously, so they're a lot sloppier in their mechanics. But when I think of like the set position, I typically think of that kind of classic two position move where they start with their feet spread, kind of relax while they get their signal, and then they step their feet together and come into that set position. But what I've seen a lot of kids do is skip that first part and they actually receive the ball from the catcher with their feet already together and then go straight to hands together. So it's not like a two movement mechanic. They cut out that whole first half. Is that legal for them to kind of, when they receive the ball, already be ready to pitch? Or do you need to see that two piece with the pause?
You really do need the two-piece, Alex. You need that stretch part that precedes the set. And the reason from a rules perspective is the set position is defined as the pitcher starts with the hands separated, the ball in either hand or glove, and then part of that moving from the stretch to the set is bringing those together, like Rick was talking about with nobody on base, for example. So we can't skip that step by rule.
Okay, yeah, I did see it a number of times. Like, the catcher would throw the ball back, the pitcher would catch it in his glove and then have his other hand in his glove and almost be in that second position already. And I've tried to get that out of them, and I've had so many coaches tell me, "Oh, that's legal," and argue it all day. And I just wanted to make sure that I was arguing my side correctly. Thank you.
Yeah. Having the feet, I'd say, is less of a problem. Moving the feet together and such, but the hands have to start separate. The hands cannot start together. Different than the windup, right? In the windup, we don't care if the hands are both at their sides, one's in front with the ball, one's, then comes up the other one, or they both start together. The windup, there's a wide degree of latitude with how you can start with your hands. But from the set position, you have to start with your hands separate, and then they have to come together. And then once they've come together, they can't break again until you're ready to do something, right? If you break them and come back together, now it's a balk, which we'll get to in a couple minutes.
Yeah, I think I've seen that the sad reality in high school nowadays, especially from what it used to be, is that there isn't the technical training with, separate, set. You see a lot of kids, they'll start sideways, they set and they set again. I know middle school, I let it slide a little, obviously, but like when you get up into sophomore, freshman, sophomore, they really kind of got to have an idea at that point.
Yeah, middle school and even some of the sub varsity, depending on the division, please give me somebody who can throw a strike. We'll figure the rest out.
Yep.
Matt, I think you were up next.
Yeah, just with guys on base, whose primary focus should it be to call this, the play dump or the field dump, or does it not matter?
We really don't have the concept of who should be looking for which box in the two umpire system. When you get to 3 and 4, there are things that certain people can look for, but in the two umpire system, if you've got a balk, call a balk. There are balks that are going to be very hard to get in the two umpire system, like the lefty stepping toward first base, or versus the 45. Some of those things are hard, and we get better when we're in 3-man. But yeah, there's no prescribed, like somebody should watch the lower body or somebody watches something else. Like, watch the whole picture, and if you've got a balk, come up with it.
So 2-man, if you see it, call it.
You got it. And Jeff.
Yeah, just a quick question on the set. At Trump, somebody tried to tell me last year that it was a balk in Fed if you put your non-pivot from the set position, put your non-pivot foot either parallel to the rubber or behind. And I do see some pitchers do that. Right? They'll grab the ball, put their non-pivot foot behind the rubber, and then come set.
Put their non-pivot foot behind.
Put their non-pivot foot behind the rubber.
So their legs are crossed?
Kind of. They'll kind of stick it out there a bit, especially with a runner on third to make it a little bit easier for them to step and throw to third.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I still don't care where the non-pivot foot is.
You're right. That's what I thought. And that's what I told the coach. I like, coach, he's in the set position. His foot is parallel to the rubber.
I'm trying
Pivot
to
foot's
envision it,
parallel to the
Jeff,
rubber.
and maybe that's one I've got to see, but my problem is going to be, is he moving toward the plate twice? Because if he's got his non-pivot foot behind the rubber, then
Yep.
coming set means that that foot is coming in front of the rubber, so he's moving toward home plate.
Now
And then
he
he's gonna,
basically comes set from there, right from there.
uh,
Yep.
I
It was
don't
a little
stretch
weird.
enough to be able to do that. So.
Just because it's weird looking doesn't make it a balk, right?
How does he
It
not
was a little
fall over?
weird looking, but he kind of came set behind himself, right? Because
Did you say he
right-handed
came
with his
set behind himself?
deal, and
Okay.
then picked up his leg and moved that leg home. He pitched in one continuous motion home.
God bless him.
Weird, yes. Balk, no.
I'll take your word
Effective,
for it.
effective.
All right. Anything else
All
before
right,
we move off
that
of
was all.
legal?
That was all.
Thanks, Jeff. Anything else before we move off of legal pitching position? All right, let's get into balks. So some definitions related to balks. These are all things that I'm sure you've all read 100 times. The difference that I want to point out here in Federation is that a balk is a dead ball. And so I know that those of you who follow Federation know that in Georgia last year, they piloted a program where they would do kind of what the rest of the world does on balks and have it be a delayed dead ball with the normal like OBR type of treatment. That has not been more widely adopted yet. And so at least for this year, can't promise you what's going to happen in the future, but at least this year, balk is still a dead ball. So whether the ball is pitched or not, it is immediately dead when the balk occurs. So when we start to talk about where balks are defined in the rule book, you'll find the term balk in a couple different areas. So I tried to pull that out here so that folks will be able to take these rule references and go read some of these things themselves. So the first place that it comes up is under pitching. And there are some things described in the pitching section that talk about what's illegal and what's legal. And so the first one that's fun is the turning of the shoulders. And so from an interpretation perspective and from a rules administration perspective, there's delineation drawn here in the set position that before the pitcher has come set, while they're still in the stretch, they're able to turn their shoulders. Once they've come set and brought their hands together, they're no longer able to turn their shoulders. If they do, that's illegal. That's a balk. Okay. That's the first one that's mentioned. The next one is the quick return pitch. And so this is the quick pitch that we were talking about earlier. And again, this is defined as a pitch that's attempt to catch the batter off balance because they're not prepared. Difference between that and just throwing a pitch by going through your windup more quickly, which is not a quick return pitch, right? And I think the return there is the piece that I focus on because it's the pitcher getting the ball from the catcher and then trying to return it quickly to the catcher to catch the batter off guard. It's not just a quick pitch, quick return pitch. And if we use that, then I think it helps us to remember that it's not just somebody going through their motion more quickly. And then finally, the catcher, by rule, is supposed to have both feet in the catcher's box. The lines are part of the box. They're not, just try to get them in the box. This is one that as an umpire should have them in the box before you let the pitcher start to pitch. So all of these are an illegal pitch, and the penalty for an illegal pitch with runners on base is a balk.
First to it seems like there's two words backwards. It seems like turning the shoulders to check runners while in contact with the pitcher's plate in the stretch position is legal. And then turning the shoulders after bringing the hands together during or after the set is a balk. That's how I picture it.
And you're exactly right, Nick. But our rule book, for better or for worse, does not talk about the stretch position. It talks about the set position before and after the hands are brought together. The whole thing is called the set position versus our vernacular where we say we've got the stretch and then the set. So the whole motion is called the set in our Federation rule book, which I agree with you is terribly confusing.
Yeah, I'm on the same exact page with you, Nick. I've said that for years. And this is along with what we all want to talk about and have our definitions and our vocabulary and whatnot, and all talking about the same things. This is one of those things that we when we're talking about scenarios and post games or pre games, this is the kind of thing that can get all mumbo jumbo and confusing because of the language isn't exactly right. So we just got to be real careful when we talk about this with each other that we're all on that same page. You're
Yeah, I
absolutely
think
right.
I remember seeing this once before, and it did seem backwards to me then too. But yeah, it's just the vernacular. Yeah.
Yep. All
Okay.
right.
Thanks.
Sure. The next place that box gets mentioned is in 624, and these are the places where the definition of a balk is laid out, or what constitutes a balk by the pitcher. And so, stepping through these six things, we have feinting towards the batter or first base, or dropping the ball. Those are put together. And note here that it's only first base. So we can feint to third in Federation, which is now not allowed in some other rule sets. And all rule sets can feint to second base. So Federation, the fake to third, throw to first is still legal. And that's a balk pretty much everywhere else now, other than Federation. Okay, that's an important one to understand the difference for. Not stepping with the non-pivot foot toward a base. And directly here, we use the same interpretation that other rule sets do of this 45-degree angle between the center of the pitcher's plate and first base. So if they step more towards first base, they're stepping towards first. Step more towards home, they're stepping towards home. You won't find that 45-degree mentioned anywhere in the rule book, but it is in the case book in one of the plays and in the interpretation. So it is an official Federation interpretation to use the 45. I would not talk to coaches about that when they come out and you're explaining a balk. He either stepped toward first or he didn't. That's the explanation, right? If you're balking him for not stepping toward first, we're not getting protractors out on the mound drawing angles. Okay, it's did he or didn't he step toward first base? Done.
Yeah,
Making
I'd like to just that put an emphasis on that, guys, from a game management perspective. Absolutely, Phil's 100% correct. Let's stop. Let's get away from 45-degree, 45-foot line, whatever, all that stuff. That's not a good way to explain anything. It's did he step to the base or did he step to home? That's simple as that. Done. Okay, don't get into all that, like he said, protractor stuff.
So are you
Yeah, I
looking
mean,
for like first move towards first base? Or, some of those guys will kind of try and do that lean forward to first base. So as long as he goes to first base and it's clear he
Yeah,
went to first base, we're
as
calling it
long
legal.
as long as his motion takes him in a direction that he steps towards first base. Let's just think about this for a minute. There's a law of physics here at some point, right? Once he starts falling towards the plate, it's going to be impossible for him to reverse his direction. So once he started falling towards first base, if he now throws to first, I mean, falling towards the plate, and he starts to throw to first base, you have a balk because he's coming towards you. He's never going to be able to start coming towards you, go back, and then go to first. That's just the law of physics. It's not going to work. So as
Phil?
long as you've stepped to first, you're good. If you don't, and you've been leaning towards you to the plate, that's a balk. You got him.
Hey, Rick,
Yeah.
John Larson. Um, is the question we ask ourselves, is he trying to be deceptive? I mean,
No.
I try not to think that way, John, because
okay.
it's more about is he violating one of these things, right? Because he may or may not be trying to deceive, he may just suck, right? And it's not really just about the deception. It's really, like he could start and stop, and it's not that he's trying to deceive somebody. He just realized the runner was going and wanted to stop and throw him out. Like that's not deceptive. That's now the runner's already going. He's not being deceived. So yeah, I try not to think about it and was he trying to deceive him or not.
Again, guys, that's John brings up a good point. That's a lot of in the past. That's a lot of the language people used. That because a balk technically is an attempt to deceive the runner, but you have to take it one step forward by breaking the rules, right? So, I mean, they could deceive a runner and actually deceive a runner within the rules, and that's fine if they can do that. Good for them. But Yeah, it's not purely just because they deceived the runner. That I get that out of your vocabulary as well. You just got to come up with a couple of different not scenarios, a couple different pieces of language to use to describe what the balk is. Stop, no stop. He didn't, come to a complete stop. Start, stop. Just there's two or three that you can use that cover the whole gamut, and just use that. Don't get into all the details.
And before we get to Kevin's question, there's you also have to keep in mind that the rules here, even though they're written for high school athletes, they're taken from the professional rules. And when you have a professional pitcher who's attempting to do something deceptive to a professional runner, they're looking for different things, right? Like, so when that professional pitcher does the little buckle of his back knee that indicates that he should be picking off and then throws a pitch, or vice versa. Like, the runners are keying off of those small things that the pitchers are doing mechanically to give them an advantage of when they can start to steal, and know that the pitcher is committed to the plate. Frankly, we're not that talented, right? Either from an umpiring perspective or from a playing perspective. So those types of deception that I think the rules are written for. I mean, it's great if you're catching those balks, but if Gary were here, he would tell you not to call those. Kevin, what do you got?
So how much of a fake out is a feint? Because sometimes a guy will go and just hold the ball up by his head. Does that count as a feint? Does he got to fake a throw? Where's the line on that?
So if we're talking about a feint to like home or to first base, then remember, we've already come set, and now we're doing something other than throwing a pitch or stepping off. It means he hasn't thrown. So it could be as simple as he broke his hands. It could be he pumped. It could be he stepped toward first base and didn't throw. Those things are all going to meet the criteria of a feint. Good question.
Phil, it's come up a few times. Fake the third, go to first. They must complete the throw to first. They must finish the throw.
Unless they disengage, Tom. So
right,
if they disengage the rubber on the fake to third, then they do not need to throw to first because they're no longer on the rubber. And now they're covered by the infielder rules. They're no longer covered by the pitching rules. If they're still in contact with the rubber, then those pitching rules still apply. They would have to make the throw to first, or it would be a balk, not because they faked to third, but because they faked to first.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Yep. Alex?
Yeah, for A through F on the screen here, are we assuming that this is after the hands have come together and he's in the set position, or can they feint from what we would call the stretch?
No, as soon as they're engaged with the pitching plate, the pitching rules apply. Cannot feint to first base, can't feint to home, whether they're in the stretch or the set. Would be a little unusual, but yeah, could not do that. That would be a balk.
If they disengage the rubber and step back, and like I was a lefty, I'll try to do it here, but I was a lefty. I'd come like this, and then I could step back and fake there. I'm off the rubber. That's not a balk, right?
As long as you have disengaged before you broke your hands, yes.
Okay.
And we'll have a case play that talks about that later. Spoiler alert.
Bill, just a quick question on when you
go
someone's
ahead.
in the windup. Someone's in the windup and they got both feet on the rubber, right? So they're just basically facing home.
Yep.
When they go to disengage, does it have to be the pivot foot?
Yes, always has to be the pivot foot.
Always. Okay.
Because if they move the non-pivot foot first, that's the start of their motion.
Yeah. Even though it went backwards, it would be the start. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. If the non-pivot foot moves first, they're committed to pitch.
Right. Right.
So Phil, runner on second breaks for third. The pitcher can throw directly to third. Correct?
Yes, and I was going to get to that with the throwing to an unoccupied base, Chris. So that's a great segue to my next point. Thank you for pulling us out of Q&A back onto the programming. So throwing to an unoccupied base here, you see in B, with not an attempt to put out or drive back a runner. So Chris is describing the very similar situation, what I was going to use as an example. With a runner on first, the pitcher can basically do a pickoff move to second base if R1 breaks for second and is stealing. They don't need to step off. They don't need to throw to first because that's where the runner was. If R1 breaks early, the pitcher can, inside move or whatever, and go directly to second base from the rubber. And, are they technically throwing to an unoccupied base? Absolutely. Are they throwing to an unoccupied base for the purpose of making a play? Yes. If that pitcher did the same thing and R1 was standing on first base or had just taken their lead and was not going toward second base, that would be a balk for throwing to an unoccupied base. The difference there is whether they're attempting to make a play or not. And the same if you've got R2 stealing third. Again, you can throw directly to third to retire R2. Right-handed pitcher, for example, stepping directly toward third and throwing them out. Doesn't have to step off the rubber first. And that is a common misapplication of this from an unoccupied base perspective.
C, if he's taking off any, whether from windup or stretch, or set, and he throws to the base behind, because he doesn't know when he spins maybe to second to third, he doesn't know if that guy's he just throws it to the second baseman or shortstop covering. That's legal, right? You can, as long as he's
trying to make a play on the runner. Yep.
Okay. It doesn't matter which bag. Okay.
Yep. As long as he's trying to make a play.
And you got to make sure he's stepping towards the base that he's throwing to. Okay. So he can't step to the base that, if he throws it to the lead base that the runner's going to, but steps towards the other base, then you have a block.
All right, C, making an illegal pitch from any position. So we talked about those illegal pitches on the previous slide. Failing to pitch to the batter in a continuous motion. So this is one that came up during the windup with the stop in the windup. The exception to this rule, and I didn't put the whole exception here to Part D. It's a little lengthy to fit onto a slide, but it basically boils down to the batter can't cause a balk. So if the batter requests time and the pitcher stops, even though the umpire didn't grant time, don't call a balk in that situation. Or if the batter steps out with 1 foot or both feet, you're not going to call a balk on the pitcher because they didn't deliver there. Don't let the batter cause a balk. E, taking the hand off the ball while in the set position. So I alluded to this. Once the hands come together in the set, they stay together until either the pitcher steps off or until they're prepared to either pick off or deliver a pitch. If they take their hands apart and then put them back together, that's a balk by rule under this section.
Hey, Phil, it's Bry. With that failing to pitch in a continuous motion, knowing that set position that we had and what we talked about before, if he takes that step back and continues, wouldn't that fall in there as a continuous motion then?
It's a continuous motion, but now he stepped toward first base and failed to throw.
Even if he's stepping backwards?
Now he stepped.
I'm talking from a right-handed batter or a right-handed pitcher.
Toward second base. The point is, he didn't step toward home. He can only do 2 things.
Okay.
Well, 3 things. He can step off, he can throw a pickoff, or he can lift his little foot and step home and throw. That's
Okay.
it.
No, I'm just, again, devil's advocate on that, having a coach come back but and say, well, it was continuous. So.
Then you say, yes, coach, it was.
Right.
That's not the part that was against the rules.
Right. Not a problem. Just, like I said, plain devil's advocate with that.
Yeah, it's continuous. It's still, but it's not the continuous part that's the problem there.
Right. Okay.
Alex?
Yeah, sorry, I will try to stop interrupting you, but going back to DA there, batter cannot cause a balk. How do you also feel about, because I've seen this a lot too, where the pitcher does something that in my judgment is totally legal, but the offensive dugout, now you hear 7 people from the bench area all start yelling, oh, that's a balk, and then it disconcerts the pitcher and he stops what he's doing. Does that fall under the batter can't cause a balk, where we say, like, the bench can't either?
Yeah,
or is that a different rule?
Wouldn't let the offensive team cause a balk either. Now he's probably throwing already, but yes, wouldn't let them cause a balk either.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have interference in that situation. But
yeah,
possibly.
Might be a
possibly.
Stretch. Might be a stretch.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Probably not gonna scratch that itch, Nick.
That's a good point.
All right, last one here, failing to pitch to the batter when the entire non-pivot foot passes behind the perpendicular plane of the back edge. So this is your lefty going to first base, and if the foot swings fully back, then they're committed. They can't pick off from that position. Don't see this terribly often, just from a physics perspective. It's difficult to execute, but and you're probably not going to be able to catch this in two umpire system anyway. This is really when you get to 3 and 4 umpires. And then 625 is the last one that we'll note here because they will occasionally try this hidden ball trick. And so a couple things on the hidden ball trick. You should never have a hidden ball trick if the ball was dead, because to put the ball back in play, the pitcher needs to have the ball on the rubber. And you need to have a batter in the batter's box and a catcher in the catcher's box. So if the first baseman or some other fielder, jamoke, has the ball because they're trying this hidden ball trick, you can't put the ball back in play. Can't have a balk because the ball was dead. Just get the ball back to the pitcher and hopefully they'll stop screwing off. If the ball was live and the pitcher is not the one who has the ball, some other player has it, and they're going to attempt this hidden ball trick. In Federation rules, the pitcher can't be within 5 feet of the pitcher's plate. So not the dirt circle like it is in some other rule sets, not on or astride like it is in some other rule sets, within 5 feet. Now I'm not getting out a tape measure, okay, but 5 feet is about half the distance from the 10-foot circle around the rubber, from around the mound to the pitcher's plate. So somewhere about halfway up the hill, that's what you're looking at, right? And again, really only comes into play when the hidden ball trick is in play. Otherwise, this isn't something we're worried about.
I had that happen to me.
I believe it, Kathleen.
I it was a throw in from the outfield to the shortstop.
Yep.
The shortstop walked over to the pitcher, pretended to hand him the ball, and then went back.
That's when
The
your
runner-
spider senses should start going off.
The runner was at second. I didn't catch it. I didn't see him. Not. It looked like he gave him the ball, and the pitcher did not go on to the mound, but he was on the dirt part of it, and all of a sudden the runner got off to take a lead, and he tagged him out. I made the wrong call. I called him out. And it wasn't until after that I called on this one because I said, I don't know if I got this right or not. And obviously I didn't.
Well, he can be on the dirt. Depends how close he was to the rubber, and you got it out. So we'll let it slide.
Gary would be happy, but yeah. But I do think because the other coach was saying, he didn't call it a balk. But he said, no, he can't do that. He can't do that. And it,
Yeah, in Federation, he can be on the dirt, just can't be within 5 feet of the pitching plate. And that's why these coaches should be. There are a lot of things coaches should do, but teaching their runners not to take the lead until the pitcher's on the rubber, right? If they don't take the lead until the pitcher's on the rubber, it really removes all doubt.
And the really smart second baseman or shortstop also gives the umpire on the bases a little bit of a heads up before it happens so you don't look stupid.
And usually they can't hide the shit-eating grin that they have either, that they're going to try this thing.
He did not show me that he had it. I did miss it. My back was towards it. Because I was in the C position. I didn't see him tag him.
Thanks, Kathleen. All right, so I've tried to distill this down into some balk commandments for folks here. And this is not meant to be exhaustive, but I think it's some of the most common ones to think about. So, and just putting into layman's terms rather than the rule book language. So come to a complete stop in the set, right? Don't just blow through the stop. Once you've come set, unless you're getting ready to do something like step off, pick off, or throw a pitch, don't move. If you move your feet, if you twitch, those are all things that are balks. Once you've started your delivery, don't stop. If you do, we got a balk. Don't separate your hands once you've come set. unless it's to pick off or pitch. If you do, it's a balk. Step directly to the base you're attempting to pick off. And again, directly means more towards it than not, right? Never feint to pick off to first base. Don't pick off to an unoccupied base unless it's for the purpose of making a play. Don't quick pitch or quick return pitch the hitter. Don't drop the ball. If you do drop the ball, we've got that weird thing where if you drop the ball and it rolls to the foul line, it's a ball because it's a pitch. Usually the ball isn't going to roll that far. If it's dropped, it's a balk. It's going to be a dead ball. And then don't be within 5 feet of the pitcher's plate without the ball. I think these kind of distill nicely the points that we've talked about. It doesn't necessarily get into turning shoulders, but to me that falls under moving your body once you've come set, right? So I think that even some of the more nuanced things fall under some of these other categories.
Yeah,
Rick,
this is
go
a
ahead,
great
and
list.
then Rick, go ahead, and then Jeff is going to jump in with a question.
Then those are great points to look at, guys. And again, I'd like to reemphasize that you come up with 2 or 3 stock answers out of these. So when you have that particular one, that particular bullet, you have a stock answer of start, stop. Coach, it was a start, stop. Or coach, he didn't step to first or whatever. Just come up with some stock answers so you can say it very succinctly, quickly, and move on. And that's what we want. We don't want long discussions about Balks with coaches. If they got a question, you answer it quickly with a quick comment on what he did, and then we move on. And we're just not going to belabor it.
Yep, not time to put on a rules clinic. Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things that I see a lot after pitchers come set is a minor readjustment of the hands where sometimes the elbow moves a little bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't get too crazy about that. And
no,
digging
the other
in,
coach, of course,
digging
is
in
like,
the,
he moved his elbow.
yeah, and
You can't do that.
digging in the glove to change their grip. Like, at some point we got to play baseball.
Right.
Any questions about these?
Yeah, I just thought I'd clarify because it says don't move your body, right? But little minor readjustments of the hands where the elbow might wiggle a little bit or whatever, like that's no.
Yeah, by
That's not
rule you shouldn't. But what are you going to enforce in a Division I varsity game even versus a freshman Division IV game? And
honestly, everywhere in baseball that doesn't get enforced, right?
Yeah.
Every minor adjustments are allowed.
It's the old standby, don't call chicken shit Balks.
Right, exactly. Because that's a chicken shit balk, and all you're going to do is get grief every time the other pitcher moves the tiniest bit.
Yep. All right, base awards for a balk. They're easy for us, right? They're dead. So every runner other than the batter runner gets 1 base when a balk occurs. An award is from the time of the balk. So if somebody has stolen second and then the balk occurs, it's not time of pitch or whatever. It's when the balk occurs. And that's an egregious example. But for the most part, it's 1 base, and then the next thing happens. If they throw the pitch and there's a hit, unlike other rule codes, again, where it's delayed dead and we have to evaluate whether everybody got a base, we don't have any of that. Kill it, give everybody a base, get to the next pitch. All right, so I have a few case plays. We've taken a little more time with questions than I thought, so sorry this might run over a little bit. Try to move through these quickly, and then I have some videos to show of some of the examples of balks that are from, a lot of them are from like youth games because they're the ones who are kind of the most obviously terrible at some of these balks, but I think they'll make the point. So case play number 1 with runner on third, batter has 3 balls, 2 strikes, pitcher balks, delivers the pitch. Pitch goes over everybody, and the batter doesn't swing because it's 8 feet over his head, and R3 scores. What do we do in this situation?
Yeah, the balk.
Kill
The
it and
ball's
award
dead.
the balk.
Dead ball, right? We have a
Yep.
balk, R3 scores, the pitch is not ball 4, pitch never happened because the ball was dead on the balk, batter still at bat with a 3-2 count, run scores. Good. Case play 2, we still get this runner on third base. Pitcher's in contact with the pitcher's plate, hasn't come set yet, brings his pitching hand to his mouth and wipes it off. Is this legal?
No.
Okay, not
Not
legal.
on the rubber.
Not on the
Not even
rubber.
on the dirt, technically.
Right. So if he brings his pitching hand to his mouth, whether he wipes it off or not, we have a problem, right?
Yep, correct.
When he's on the pitcher's plate. Totally agree. So it's not legal. It's not an illegal pitch. That's the penalty when he's not on the pitcher's plate and doesn't wipe off, right? He's brought his hand to his mouth. What we have here is he started his motion basically, right? He's moved his hand, whether it goes to his mouth or does something else. Like the movement is the problem here, not that he went to his mouth, and then certainly not whether he wiped it off or not. So this is a balk. R3 is awarded home. Not an illegal pitch, not a ball awarded to the batter, just a balk, and off we go. Ace play 3. Runner at third, and runners at first and third. F1 stretches and comes set. He then swings his entire non-pivot foot behind the back edge of the pitcher's plate, step towards second base, throws the ball to second in an attempt to retire R1, who is stealing. This might sound familiar to a discussion that Chris and I had just a few minutes ago. Is this legal or is this a balk? And I'm going to call right on Chris.
Oh, it's legal.
It's legal. Throwing to an unoccupied base for the purpose of making a play. Okay, nothing wrong with this. Similar situation. And this time feints a throw to second to drive back R1 to first. Steps off. R1 is not stealing, nor did R1 feint in advance to second base. Can we step off and feint to an unoccupied base? That's a balk, right? Difference here is R1's not stealing. Can't go to the unoccupied base. Runner on first. Pitcher, left-handed pitcher, attempts a pickoff while stepping at an angle, but to the home plate side of a 45-degree angle between the center of the pitcher's plate and between home and first base. So they have stepped more toward home than they did toward first base. Do we have a balk or is this legal?
Balk.
I'm calling a balk.
That is a balk. Okay. If they're closer to the first base side of the 45-degree angle, it's legal, right? That is the definition that we use based on the casebook interpretation. Case play 5 with a runner or runners on base. Pitcher assumes the set position, stretches his arms above his head, brings them down together and pauses with the ball in both hands in front of his body, after which he separates his hands and then steps back off the pitcher's plate with his pivot foot. Is this legal?
Balk.
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 If he had stepped off and then separated his hands, what would we have?
No
Legal.
balk.
Legal.
Legal, right? So if he disengages, he can do whatever he wants. But while he's still on the rubber, if he breaks his hands before he steps off, we have a balk. Great. Number 6. Oops. So we have a pitcher who's doing the same thing, does the stretch, brings him down, and after he has the ball in both hands, steps back off the pitcher's plate and feints a throw to first base. Legal or a balk?
Legal.
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 Legal
He stepped off the
because
rubber.
legal because he stepped off. Absolutely.
Yep.
He's disengaged the rubber. He can do whatever he wants, right? If he was still on the rubber, this would be a balk. Runner on second base, pitcher wheels and fakes a throw to second on a pickoff attempt. As the runner dives back into second, a shortstop and the second baseman run into short center field as if chasing an errant throw. The runner sees this and in his confusion takes off for third, where the ball is waiting for him. Is this legal? Is this a balk? Obstruction? Unsportsmanlike? We go home at this point.
I believe it's a balk. Deeks are considered balks, isn't it right?
No, legal.
Oh, that's legal.
It's
legal.
Legal.
It is legal. So just because something is weird and there's some gamesmanship doesn't mean that we need to overreach and apply rules that don't exist. So this could happen at second base, could happen at first base, where they simulate the pitcher steps off and they simulate a ball getting thrown away down the line, and the runner from first takes off for second and they tag him out. Those things are perfectly legal, and the case book goes as far as to say it's up to the base coaches to make sure that their runners are aware of the situation. So definitely not anything unsportsmanlike, not obstruction, and certainly not a balk.
And don't confuse that with fake tag. Fake tag's a different thing. We'll go over that another day.
Yeah, I think we
Got
hit
it.
fake
Thank
tag
you.
on.
That's perfect. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we hit fake tag when we did obstruction and the warnings that go with it. Runner on second and first, and after the pitcher has come set, he steps with his non-pivot foot towards second and does not throw the ball, or toward first or home and does not throw the ball. We okay in either or both of these?
Okay in A, balk in B.
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree, Curtis. So in second, we can fake towards second, no big deal, because there's a runner there. We can never fake toward home, and we can't fake toward first from the rope.
Yep.
Case play 9, the runner at first, pitcher in the set steps quickly backwards off the pitcher's plate, and with a motion much like his pitching motion, delivers a throw to the plate where the batter hits the throw. Legal, balk, interference on the batter. What do we got?
The balk.
No. Interference on the batter.
So I'm going to have a balk on this one, and I'm going to agree with Bob's position for if there was a runner on third base trying to score.
Yeah.
But in this case, we only have a runner on first, so the pitcher's not attempting to make a play at home. And even if this were a pitch out, I would rule the same way.
Gotcha.
This would be a balk, right? The pitcher is no longer on the pitcher's plate and is making a motion that is typical of their pitching motion. By definition, this is a balk. And where we would change that interpretation is with a runner on third attempting to score by means of a steal. If the batter swung at this situation where the pitcher has stepped off, now the batter is interfering with a play at home, and we would have the penalties associated with that.
Phil, if I could jump in real quick.
Yeah.
There's another scenario, kind of, this is along the same vein as what Phil's talking about, that you'll see quite often, and they think they're real slick, is that they'll start in the wind-up position and they'll step back with their pivot foot and at the same time act like they're starting their motion to pitch. That is a balk. Doesn't matter at that point that they've stepped back off the rubber with their pivot foot. They're simulating a pitch. If they just step back, it's fine. If they bring those arms up like they're starting to pitch, that is a balk. You need to call that a balk.
All right, case play 10 might be the last one. With runners at first and third, R3 attempts to steal home. All right, we just did this one. Never mind. Okay, a couple of videos before we wrap up. Let's see if I can get these to play. Everybody see the pitcher here?
Yep.
Watch the pitcher as he comes set. Okay with the shoulder turn here, right?
Yep.
Because he hasn't come set yet. This is prior to the hands coming together. Now, the hands come together. Not much of a stop there.
No,
there wasn't a stop.
Okay, so that's what a no stop balk looks like. And it's not always this egregious, but this is what we're looking for, right? No stop there. And then he stops anyway. Stops at the wrong time. A little too late, right?
Right.
This pitcher, you lose track of the runner at second, but the runner for second breaks for third, and he realizes it and says, "Oh, that's a balk," right? He stopped his motion once he had committed to pitch. So unlike the fake to third, throw to first, which is legal, this lefty pitcher started with a fake to first. That's a problem. Always. This pitcher is going to attempt to pick off at third base. So you can tell me what's wrong with his pickoff attempt.
Did not
No step.
He didn't step toward third.
No step, right? Can't throw flat-footed. Good.
No.
What did I just see?
So we had a couple of problems there, right? We have him coming set and then taking that step backwards. That's a balk already. And now he's stopped versus a continuous motion. So he's all kinds of jacked up.
I saw that multiple times at the high school level last year.
I believe you. You'll probably see it again this year. Bad news for you.
Yep. And they couldn't believe it. They said, I could do that at travel ball. I'm like, well, you can't do it here.
And this is the same thing, right? So not as pronounced, but he takes that little step backwards. Not allowed.
Oh,
So we got a
turn.
shoulder turn here again. Difference between this one and the first one is we have now come set. And instead of just turning his head, still okay here. And now, oh boy.
Oh, there you go.
Shoulder opens to first base.
Yeah.
That's a problem now. Okay. And that's the difference in the shoulder turn. The first video we saw was okay. When he turns like this after his hands have come set, now we got a problem. This pitcher, you'll love his little histrionics at the end. Goes on like he's going to the windup, changes his mind, but he didn't step backwards. What did I do? After you set your feet as though you're going out of the windup, you either have to throw a pitch or step off. You can't just go into the set from the windup.
Multiple times last year.
Can you show that again?
Yeah. Right here, he's got his feet set in the windup, and now he moves. Good.
Good. Yeah.
Base ump was sleeping.
So what he should have done was step off and then reset.
He should have stepped off with his pivot foot, right, with his right foot. He should have stepped backwards, clearly behind the rubber, and then reset his feet.
Because that happens all the time. A coach will yell out there to change, and they'll just change. All right.
That's a problem. Got to step off. Got to disengage.
That's how you can tell a good coach.
And that's also when you're most likely to get a balk is when somebody yells step off because the runner's moving or something. Like, you know, you're basically yelling at the pitcher to stop what he's doing. Like, our minds don't work in such a way that I can stop the action that I was going to take and do something different without causing.
Phil, can you play that one more time? Does it deceive me, or does he take the rubber twice or almost 3 times? So right there, right there.
Whoops, sorry.
That's all right.
Here.
Do you see what I mean? So
yeah,
he put his foot parallel, then he changed to the windup, then he went back to the stretch.
Yeah, I can't see whether, I mean, there's a hole there in front. So the parallel piece, he probably wasn't setting his feet there yet. But when he goes to the windup, he's definitely, he's in a windup position. He's facing the batter. Like, there's long enough time there that he's engaged, and now just moves his pivot foot into a parallel position instead of moving backwards and re-engaging.
Hey, Phil.
Yeah.
Can you kind of briefly go over who has those calls and when would a base umpire call a balk and when versus a plate umpire, or is it just part of the
whoever sees it?
That's at the beginning of the game.
In the two umpire system, Tim, whoever sees the balk, call the balk.
Ideally, you're both calling it at the same time.
Okay, let's real world this for a second, guys. The reason why anybody can call it. Okay, see what this situation is. Leave it right there, Phil, that video. Okay, what's this plate guy might be thinking about right now? He might be thinking about the batter stepping in and everybody's kind of moving around, getting settled, and maybe there's something going on there. So the base guy needs to be paying attention to that. This case, the plate guy was able to, but that's why either one of you can get it. We're not set in stone on who gets what box, because you never know in the real world what might be happening where the other guy might be distracted for a second. Okay, so we just if you see a balk, call a balk.
All right, I think this might be the last one. So this is a fun one. So this is bases loaded in the bottom of the 5th inning, 5-2 game, 3-2 count, 2 outs. And just watch the pitcher here and tell me if you think he does anything that is a little bit awkward.
He's in the windup. He starts his motion, then he stops.
Anybody have a balk there?
Yeah.
Yeah, never stepped off.
Never stepped off. Yeah, he just stops.
Yeah.
For the love of God, don't end up on YouTube because you missed this one. Okay. This is probably the most egregious balk that you'll see. And they end up getting an out here. It kills the inning instead of second and third, 5-3, 2 outs.
Is that Gary Noyes on the bases?
Yeah, that's right.
Don't call balks, Rick.
Don't call Balks and get out. That's a Gary dream right there.
It was great that the batter just stayed on the chalk and just stayed in the way.
So I'll just tell you when I would have a balk here.
Balk.
Now, everything that happens after that, icing on the cake. But when he stops there,
yeah,
then when he steps off and you get to all of this, and both umpires are still like, "Hey, we're gonna get it out." Like,
did they miss it? They took the out, and that was that.
Oh yeah, watch the third base coach. He's starting to march. Yeah.
Plate guy was so involved.
Right. Bonus, we'll get to whether there are any questions at the end here on balks and legal pitching positions, and I appreciate you guys bearing with me this long. A bonus case play, because I've seen this coming up more and more often, and I just want folks to know that this is an approved interpretation that you can use judiciously. Okay. Who here has had a pitcher's hat fall off with some of the hair that we've seen in the last few years?
All the time.
It's a problem. All right.
It's because they have bandanas underneath them.
It's because they got all kinds of dumb, get a haircut. But anyway, if the hat falls off once, okay, the hat fell off. If it happens every pitch, they're not wearing their uniform properly. Don't let it continue. Either keep the hat on or get me a new pitcher. Okay. The answer here is D. It's illegal without exception. The pitcher's hat and the umpire's judgment regularly comes off. He must be replaced. Okay. Again, this doesn't mean it fell off once or twice. This is a habitual thing. It's slowing the game down. Like, get me a new pitcher. Okay. And I use this Curtis, let me finish. Use this very judiciously. Okay. This isn't meant to be, again, it comes off once or twice. But we've seen those games where the same pitcher throws 10 pitches and 10 times his hat ends up on the ground. Like, do not let that continue. Okay. Sorry, Curtis, go ahead.
No, can he, I've said, replace your hat or you're done.
Keep your hat on. I don't care if it's your hat, somebody else's hat. If your mom has to go get a bobby pin, I don't care. Keep the hat on.
Yeah.
Yep. Keep the hat on. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't pitch without it. You can't pitch with it backwards or any of the other dumb shit they might try.
Now, this is Federation. What about for lower levels?
Same thing.
Yeah, technically the same thing, although I don't know that you've got rules that have the same teeth. In Federation, otherwise, tread carefully.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
What's the quick explanation for what rule we're citing here?
You're not wearing your uniform properly.
Okay.
That's it. All right, those are all the things I had for you guys. Any other questions before we call it a night?
Without the risk of keeping us here for another 10 minutes, let's go back a bit to when the dugout screams balk, or the third base coach or the first base coach screams balk. In my opinion, balks are judgment calls. I wouldn't let him scream ball. I wouldn't let him scream strike. I wouldn't let him scream out or safe. So if I hear that, I address it and tell him not to do it again, because we could get balk on a number of occasions throughout the game. Is that the right way to do that, or should I ignore it?
No, I'll take that question. Absolutely, you want to address that. Get it, make it very clear. I wouldn't go directly to a penalty the first time it happens.
No,
I would
I don't.
allow them to correct it and correct the issue, but it needs to be addressed. We cannot be doing that. Done. And if it happens again, it becomes unsportsmanlike, and then you should probably have penalties. But I would give them one chance at the high school level. But you're absolutely right. We can't allow that to continue.
And further, Tom, it's that's again not a 90-foot or 120-foot conversation, right? That's a go talk to the head coach and let him police his team. You know,
Absolutely.
don't yell at the bench, don't do any of that. But yeah, I agree. Intervene. Yeah. Jeff?
Yeah, quick thing. The mechanic could be, since the ball's dead, time, that's a balk, right? Kill it first.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I suck at that, Jeff. So for me, I'm just going to call the balk because in everything else that we do, that's a balk and then see what
Then
happens
time,
with the
or yeah,
circuits,
delayed
right?
dead. Yeah.
So if you say that's a balk and then call time and award penalties, if the worst thing that happens in your game is you call a balk before you call time versus you call time before you call a balk, then you're having a pretty good day.
That's right. The rules will support us that it was dead automatically, no matter
No,
what
I know.
what order. So I'm with Phil on that. I'm never gonna judge you if you call block first and then kill it. It's just I think it's probably better practice to do it that way because other rule sets you don't want to be getting it wrong the other way in another
No, I
rule
know.
set. So
I try to do it in Fed games with time, that's a balk, but you know.
no,
Yeah.
the last thing in the world you want is you're doing an OBR game and you go
Yeah,
time, that's a
and you
balk,
go
and then
time, you go,
everything
oh
has to
shit.
stop,
Right.
and
Yeah.
you shouldn't have. So I would rather you err in the Federation game than the others.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point because I do a mix of both.
Yes, they're coming down. I can bring it down.
Other questions?
If the catcher is in that stance where he puts one knee down and he puts the other leg out and out of the catcher's box, should you fix that?
I wouldn't worry about that.
Okay.
Thanks, Phil.
Yeah, let's not pick boogers on balks, guys. Let's just when we got a balk, we call a balk. You know, let's just not. We're not out there Hawkeye and balks. Okay, so let's just that's the last
I
point
think
on
it's
that.
seeing those videos at the end, like those are egregious, right? I mean,
No.
the kids are starting and stopping. We're not picking nits here.
That's right. Bill, anything else?
Nothing else from me. Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Good.
I just
Good
wanted
job.
before
Thank
everybody
you.
hangs up.
All right, Phil.
We're gonna
Thanks, Phil.